I'll tell us you're wondering. Said you're wondering.
Oh, that's right. She's wondering.
I'll go ahead and call to order this regular Nelson County School Board meeting on August 18, 2015 at approximately 5:01 p.m. We'll start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board mission statement. The Nelson County Board of Education, representatives of our citizens and entrusted with their children, pledges to support the mission of the Nelson County School District by setting visionary direction through effective policy, oversight, and efficient resource management. The district vision statement, quality education now, learning for life. Item 2 on the agenda is any changes to the agenda?
We have none.
Okay, so item 3 on the agenda, student and stakeholder engagement, 3A student performance, and I see a gaggle of students over to our right.
Absolutely, and those are Nelson County High School students, so I'm going to ask the principal, Ms. Hendricks, to make some introductions of the teacher, and we'll go from there.
I first want to share that we're very excited that we have had the opportunity to share a music teacher, 2 music teachers really. We have Miss Robinson that spends half of the day at OKH and then the other half of the day at Nelson County High School, and we do vice versa with another music teacher, Damon King. And she's working very diligently to build the choir program at our school. So she is here today, Miss Stephanie Robinson, with the Nelson County High School mixed choir students. And I'm going to share the names with you. They're not in any particular order, but we have Haley Abel, Brianna Gill, Kaylee Morris, Katie Seaton, Jacob Hazelwood, Cheyenne Montgomery, Bailey Bertrand, Kaylee Robinson, Haley Robinson, Megan Winter, Matthew Licksteiner, Haley Eisenberg, and Catherine Davis. And they have a special presentation for you tonight.
If you would please stand and join us while we sing our state's song.
The sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home. 'Tis summer, the people are gay. The corn tops ripe and the meadows in the blue, while the birds make music all the day. The young folks roll on the little cabin floor, all merry, all happy and bright. By and by, hard times comes a knocking at the door. Then my old Kentucky home, good night. Weep no more, my lady. Oh, weep no more today. We will sing one song for my old Kentucky home, for my old Kentucky home, far away.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was outstanding.
Ms. Robinson?
Thank you.
So it is 1 week, right? Tomorrow will be 1 week in school. And so you've had them for 1 week?
Yes, sir.
And
Ish.
in 1 week each?
Yes.
So maybe a little bit coercing, let's practice a little bit extra?
Yes, sir. A couple days, we've had 2 days, about an hour after school, Friday, and then today right before.
And so, and just in that 1 week, you've been able to put together the Nelson County High School Choir and
Yes.
provide that type of performance, probably at a time when they're a little bit nervous, I'd say.
Absolutely, absolutely. Me too.
Tremendous, tremendous job.
Thank you, thank you. I look forward to what the year is going to bring for us because I have a lot of outstanding students, so I appreciate the opportunity.
Is that the magical choir, or is that a?
This is a combination of my second and third period choirs. They have donated their extra time after school to put this together. Both ensembles are learning the piece for our concert at the end of the semester, but these guys took a step in the right direction, giving us a little bit
All
more.
acapella?
Yes. Well, for the concerts, we will have accompaniment, but we will start a chamber ensemble after school. That will be the primary focus, a cappella singing.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You never know. You could be on TV. like the rest of them.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Terrific job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Moving on to item 3B, good news for the district.
We have a few things even at the beginning of the school year to share. We're excited to say that Cox's Creek held its first kindergarten camp and it was a success. Parents and children visited the school and completed paperwork for Brigance screening to see how ready our students were for kindergarten. Foster Heights fourth grader Olivia Perry was named Miss Preteen Nelson County at the Nelson County Fair this summer. And Horizons student Logan Hicks is completing an internship at TLC Landscaping. After being there for 2 days, TLC hired him for a part-time job after school as well. He had good preparation in the project-based learning work that we've been doing at Horizons. Both Thomas Nelson and Nelson County High School FFA chapters were rated as National 3-Star chapters this summer. This is the second year in a row for Nelson County High School's chapter for FFA. That's the highest rating that a chapter can receive, and there were only 11 FFA chapters in the state of Kentucky this year to receive that rating. We're very excited for them. New Haven School has given out 4 leadership awards to students that have shown random acts of leadership. Let me try that again. Random acts of leadership throughout the first week of school. Kinsley Rogers is a first grader that was helping younger students find their way to class. Devin Thornsberry read 1,000 books before coming to kindergarten. Logan Bailey was a 5th grader who was helping another student through a tough situation. And Camden Donahue was a kindergartner modeling for his class the way to greet visitors. And all of those students received certificates and had their pictures posted, and they were excited about that. So we have good things going on throughout the district, and we appreciate the effort to get there.
And once again, just 1 week into the school year, and already
Just a
those
few
types
days
of
in.
accomplishments. Moving on to item 3C, expect the best awards.
We have several folks here that we want to recognize tonight. Each month we recognize, and we really do this during the school year. We've kind of taken a break during the summer, but we have certified classified staff to recognize, as well as a student and parent. So I'm going to read through this, these recognitions, and then we'll ask these folks to come join us for a certificate and a picture. So we're glad to have them here with us. First of all, from New Haven, our certified staff recognition is for our assistant principal, Mr. Kevin Payton. He has the great ability to build relationships with the student, staff, and parents. He is always willing to do whatever is needed for New Haven School. He's willing to learn, try new ideas, paint, train murals, and always stops to take care of students. He's a tremendous asset to our school, and we appreciate Mr. Payton. For classified staff, we have a bus driver, Miss Lynn Fairfax. This driver of bus 424 spotted a small child in need and stopped what she was doing to take care of him. This is just one very special example of our drivers going above and beyond for the safety of our children within the community, so we appreciate that very much. Our student is Miss Cameron Lawson from Cox's Creek Elementary School. Cameron has such a great spirit. She loves helping teachers and staff get their classrooms ready. She volunteered time this summer delivering boxes and instructional supplies to classrooms, helping teachers clean their classrooms to prepare for the new year. And we have Sandy Livers, a parent from Nelson County High School, who took on the task of heading up senior project graduation for the high school. She worked hard to put together an amazing night of entertainment, food, and prizes for the graduating seniors. And because of her efforts and those that worked with her, the Nelson County High School seniors had a safe place to celebrate on graduation night. So we appreciate all of you. If you guys would come up, we'd like to make a presentation to you and get a picture of you. Tom's going to tell us where to stand, and we'll take everybody's picture, okay?
Okay, we'll just have the board in the second row, and we'll have you guys right in front. If you would come right on over here next to Mr. Orr. Cameron, can you put Mr. Orr right where you are? That is perfect.
It's okay. My mother will never know. My mother can
That's a good place.
You don't want to be seen.
Come on over and sit over there.
I'm right here.
You guys want to sit up just to here.
I'm okay right where I'm at.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right. Hey, you want to sit this here? Everybody was fantastic. Tell you what, if you guys want to angle those forward a little bit, it'll take the glare off.
You're fired.
of these.
You're
So-
fired,
I
Miss
forgot my
Berry.
job.
You
I'm
forgot
sorry,
your
I forgot
job.
my duties.
There you go. Just take the
Beer
glare
with
off
the,
of what
yes,
it
so
says on
it
this.
share with the light.
Very good. Perfect.
It's usually my
That's
job.
Mrs. Berry's job, and she's
And I
fired.
forgot it, I'm sorry.
Maybe jump in there. All right. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Double check. One more frame in case anybody blinks. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. I can get higher.
You two don't get to leave yet.
Thank you very much. Good job.
It's like content.
Dr. I'll also throw in there, I know from Sandy Livers there, having had a senior also graduate this year, I heard several students say that they had been to Project Grad for the last couple of years as guests of graduating seniors, and several of them said it was the best one that they've been to in a while. So I think she set the bar high for this coming year's Project Grad, because I've already seen them trying to start getting things ramped up. So you set the bar high there for them, Sandy.
Thank you all.
Moving on to item 4, operations consent agenda. This consists of information and personnel actions, treasurer's report, bills and claims, munis report, leaves of absence, minutes from previous meeting, overnight out-of-state trips, and fundraiser requests. All of these items we received within our board packet toward the end of last week.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Pate.
Second.
Second by Mr. Norman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 5 on the agenda, efficient resource management. 5A is approved design development at Nelson County Early Learning Center. Mr. Hawkins.
I
I'll introduce the topic, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Ward and Mr. Salzman. We are going to be asking the board to approve the design of the ELC expansion renovation. The good news is the updated estimate of what the design you'll be looking at tonight comes within the budget that you approved, I believe in February, when we approved the revised BG1 for this project. And the most recent estimate provided by Mr. Salzman of the design by Mr. Ward is within that budget, very close to it. So that's the good news. I'm going to turn it over to those two gentlemen if they want to go through that and discuss specifics. I know we sent you drawings over the weekend. Carl and I talked earlier today. It might be somewhat of an eye test to put that up on the board or on the screen here and try to review that. I've not heard any questions from anyone, but if you have specific questions as to the design or the cost, these gentlemen can help you with that. I'll turn it over to them if you want to discuss that, General. Sure.
I don't have a whole lot of comments to make. The design is pretty similar to what you saw in a work session for schematic design. There have been some minor modifications just to coordinate with mechanical and structural considerations. If you approve design development tonight, we did get the estimate information in order for you guys to see it. We now will have to put together the BG2 and BG3 documents, and we'll get those to you for the following work session, the work session that comes next. So you can see those. Other than that, just if you've reviewed the documents at all, I can answer any questions.
Stephen, if you don't mind, can you talk just a little bit about the Early Learning Center, some of the specifications are going to be considerably different from what we found in the K-12 program. Can you talk just a little bit about what you guys have done to make sure we've got things set for that, and maybe even a couple of examples if they're handy on what would be different?
Well, I guess we are, there's a different model program for an Early Learning Center than for elementary, and the board approved a waiver for us at a previous board meeting because a lot of the regs are written assuming that preschool classrooms are going to be in elementary schools, and they have certain requirements because of that. A big one being to try to keep the preschool students separate from some of the other elementary school students, the older students. The waiver you requested from KDE last month, I actually don't have feedback on yet, so that we're hedging to set our schedule until we know that we have approval there. But we will not have an exit from every classroom to the outdoors that will then lead all of the children to the playground like you would do if this were in an elementary school. Where every building or every classroom is a preschool classroom, that's really not feasible because you have to put a fence around the whole building to keep the kids heading toward the playground. So we've requested that waiver. We feel optimistic that it'll be considered once they see how the plan works and that it would be not very practical.
Does that hold up the project?
It shouldn't. I mean, we are looking to complete the construction documents to bring to you. I don't know yet whether it will be the October or November board meeting. It really depends. I've put out feelers to my consultants to see when they can be finished. We're going to go ahead and work, but we do want to wait for that waiver before we go too far.
Oh, and just as a reminder for me, overall we are adding how many additional rooms?
7 additional classrooms, so it'll double the number of classrooms. You'll go from 7 to 14.
Also increasing the size of the multi-purpose room and moving it into a different location.
Building a new multi-purpose room that is twice the size of the existing one. And then we're going back in and renovating the old one for other spaces.
And then also, I know one of the other key pieces was the parking and an increase in the parking area.
Increase in parking, better separation of traffic, and also accommodating. You've already built the new playground, so sort of working the site plan better around that. And I guess one other consideration, the dining space had to increase, so we actually took one of the old classrooms in order to expand the dining area, and then we end up replacing that classroom somewhere else. When you have this added capacity, we had to sort of look at the other spaces that would be pressured by that added capacity. So we'll significantly increase the dining space. We'll add some office. We'll add some restrooms. We'll add a new freezer so that the freezer cooler now can become just a cooler, and the new freezer will be added. So we've sort of looked all over the whole facility and looked at where this added student capacity will require that we add additional resources and facilities.
So then we've got our design development that we'll be looking at approving tonight, or continuing questions. We've got the VG 2 and 3, it sounds like we'll be looking at for next month, work session and regular meeting. But yet we're also still waiting on the final approval on that waiver, which.
Correct. And that won't require any action on your part. Once we get that waiver, we just know that we're clear and that we don't have any problems rolling forward with CDs.
So if all of these things kind of fall out in this order, and hopefully that waiver even being available for the next board meeting, kind of what's our timeline then on beginning work? Bidding and beginning work, the rest of the process, I guess, is the way to ask.
Until I know whether I'm bringing the CDs to you in October or November, I actually haven't talked with Michael yet about what that schedule's going to be. Like I said, we're sort of hedging a little bit until I get those answers from my consultants, for one. But I guess worst case, if we bring the documents to you at the November board meeting, which is sort of the outside, it'll still take probably 3 weeks at least for KBE review. So you're looking at being able to put it out for bid at the first of the year.
The calendar, the first of the calendar.
And that's if we bring it to you in November. If we bring it to you in October, we can do that.
Okay, now, what I want to know is the requirements that you all have, which I'm having one of those moments. What? Yes, efforts. I want to make sure that all that is in together. I mean, whatever the state requires, or we want to be known as the school, that's what I want.
We're going to try. Cheryl and I went and met with the woman in Anderson County who watches over things.
Yeah,
and
regional person.
There were, Pamela Fox is her name. Most of her goals for the facility are not a problem. Some of her goals are a problem, just in the nature of the site we're working with, the building we're working with. There are some difficulties in the fact that we're adding on to the existing building, but we're going to do our best to meet all of those goals. But we'll have more conversations about which ones we will and will not be able to do. But we're going to meet any of them that we can.
Okay, because I want to.
It's not so much that they are, as we understood it, it's not pass-fail requirements exactly. It's more that you're better or worse, I guess, in the way that they review things. She did give us several considerations that were unfamiliar to me that we're going to try to work into the plan moving forward. So.
Okay.
I mean, one of them for her, it was also new to her not to have an outdoor and an immediate exit to the outdoors.
Really?
That's something that she would like to have. We do have a couple of classrooms that don't have windows with views. We're going to try to deal with that through daylighting and other things, but she didn't like, there were a couple of rooms that wouldn't have windows.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Cheryl, didn't we get, wasn't it, from what I remember, there wasn't a wash station as they came in to the school? And another thing I was really concerned about that we got cut down on, marked down, is because the little people, when they take those 2 giant steps to the sink, then they were reaching, they were not supposed to be able to grab something to get a drying cloth.
Right.
And they had to because they were little people and, you know, and I'm thinking, well, when we get the new done, we need to see if we can't.
And those are issues that we have been able to address.
Yeah.
We are adding wash basins and in fact an additional restroom out by the playground that will accommodate some of that extra
Great,
wash
'cause I know
time.
we got marked down on that sort of.
Right,
I
so
thought.
those I think are easy
Easy.
fixes. Yeah,
Good.
the things that are more difficult are like, I said, the access to the outdoors, the daylight,
Yeah.
things like that.
Great.
That are driven sort of by the narrowness of our site. that makes those
Well,
hard.
can't do anything about that.
Right.
Good job, good, thank you.
Mr. Moore, I think you had a question.
What's in the planning on heating and cooling? I know we had some issues with that. Is there anything that the heating and cooling?
The new systems will not be the same kind of systems as what was put into phase one. We are not changing the phase one systems. So we're accepting that what was in the phase one project is what it is. It's isolated from anything we'd be doing new, so we're not going to be interacting with it in any way. But the new systems will be the geothermal systems that Nelson County has done over and over again and that you're used to and that maintenance is used to. The first phase of the work here was a system that the district wanted to try at the time. It was thought to be a more economical to run system and maybe less expensive than geothermal. And I think the results haven't been great. So, like I said, we're sort of accepting that system, but then all of the new work will be a new geothermal system.
Just on the new part, nothing, you're not going to put the whole unit in to cover the whole building system, that part?
No, sir.
Okay.
Will you have enough well capacity that later on we can convert to the well?
You know, I don't know that answer to that, and I can ask that of
I
the
mean,
engineers.
we don't have to do it now, but later on, if we wanted to get more energy, we could tap into the well.
Right. And whether you build the well capacity is actually one of the more expensive parts of the geothermal work. Building additional wells and tying them to the old wells is something that is fairly straightforward. So you don't have to spend that money now, as long as we know we have the space for the wells and know that the system is designed to accommodate. So, but I will ask what, that we can make sure that we don't do anything that will preclude that work in the future.
I'm going to step backwards just a little bit. Stephen, is it fair to say, to translate a little bit, when we talk about acres, we're not talking about building codes that are required, safety issues that would cause us to have to shut something down. We're really talking about kind of a rating that the school would ultimately get based on the facility, and it rates a lot of other things as well that goes on in classrooms and how teachers and students interact with each other. But part of that scoring system is the facility itself.
Right.
And that's where in the early years we did take a deem or two because of some ECRS issues, but we still scored at an acceptable level overall. What we're looking to do as we go forward is make sure that we don't take any of those deems unnecessarily. And I think that's what you're talking about, but I think that might not be so clear to those of us that weren't around when we were working on that project several years ago. So,
Right.
I just don't want to be I want to be exceptional instead of just acceptable.
Right. There are three layers of things we have to address. Code is basic. We're not going to do anything that's not going to meet all the codes. KDE regulations, will be meeting everything in KDE regulations except the one thing that we're requesting the waiver for. And then ECRS is the third, and like Mr. Orr said, we will do everything we can to be compliant with what ECRS would look for. ECRS is not actually specifically facilities driven, it's practices driven, so you have to sort of interpret what that means for facilities in a lot of ways. The reason Cheryl and I both went to talk to Ms. Fox is because what she's telling us is how the building has to operate in order for us to then figure out what the facility has to do to make that work.
So it sounds like it's best practices, that there are things with the facility we can do to help implement those best practices.
that interpretation piece is helpful to have that.
Okay.
that's described that way. That makes a little more sense. It's not a set of rules that gets ignored.
And I got the Ecker's text, and my first response was, there's nothing in here that tells me what the building should do or be. It's not about it.
Well, not only that, but it makes the kids, it makes things work better too. I mean, for the little people, it just sort of helps it along, I think. Makes
So
life
yeah,
easier
we'll
for
have
the
additional
teachers.
conversations with Cheryl to make sure. And
Great.
Are there any other questions? So then we need a motion to approve the design development for the expansion of the Nelson County Early Learning Center.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Berry, second by Mr. Pate. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Appreciate all your work
Thank
on
you.
this.
Thank you, Steve.
Sir.
Moving on to 5B, the pre-audit AFR for 2015.
Right, we spent quite a bit of time on this at the work session. I'll go back through some of those highlights. I'll be glad to answer any questions any of you might have, any specific questions. Didn't bring my laser pointer tonight, but I'll just highlight there in the second column from the left, the beginning balance for fiscal 15. That would have been the balance on July 1st, 2014, $1,558,000. That's what we ended last year with, unreserved fund balance for fiscal 14. I'll also remind you that in fiscal 14, when we purchased buses, we purchased them and financed them through the KISTA program instead of paying cash for them, which is what we typically do. That fund balance the previous year would have been smaller as a result of that action. During fiscal 14, we spent more money on technology. You know, every year is different. Every year we have different priorities when it comes to these administrative areas, the budget outside of payroll. And in fiscal 14, we spent a lot of money on teacher workstations. We updated all you've heard about updating all the labs in the district, and you know, we're getting a lot of good response from folks, and I think a lot of folks from other places come to see what our technology folks did with that. In fiscal 15, because we didn't have those expenditures and we had some other things occur, we were able to go back and pay for buses through the normal process, through the general fund. Typical payment, it's recorded and reflected here. We didn't actually write the check until after the fiscal year closed, but because it's payable, it's reflected in these totals that you have in front of you. We were required in fiscal 15 to give a 1% cost of living raise. That's reflected here. And every year, our salary scales, there's a required step for the average employee in our district. It's about 1.45%. So just in round numbers on a given year, 1% plus the 1.45% average step is going to cost this district about $500,000. And we absorbed that. So we absorbed the $500,000 hit in salaries. We purchased buses. We spent a little less on technology. There's a few highlights. We saw an increase in SEEK funding because the SEEK base went up as a result of the required raise. But in our case, we saw a total increase in SEEK last year to this. Carl, if you want to go to the next page. SEEK funding, keep going. No, I'm sorry, it's right there. The big number towards the bottom of the page, second column from the left, $15,202,000. That was our SEEK funding for fiscal 15. Fiscal 14, that number was $15,124,000. So difference of about $75,000. And again, I'll remind you, the average step and the raise cost the district around $500,000. The state gave us through SEEK about $75,000 to help offset that. There were some other things that we talked about at the work session. Some of the CARA strands increased slightly, which helped a little this past year. Not that what we had been doing for a number of years is spending more general fund dollars to make up for the reduced amounts we received in those CARE strands. This past year, we got a little bit of relief. We continued to spend general fund dollars on CARE strand activities, ESS, professional development. Preschool's a biggie, but we did get a little bit of relief there. during fiscal 2015. The board in August of September, I guess, 2014, for last fiscal year levied the 4% tax rate, which made a huge impact. It had a huge impact on the bottom line for the district last year. We talked at length, had a presentation last, I guess at the work session, we talked about the energy savings and the maintenance savings that the district was able to take advantage of this year as a result of the project you approved a year or so ago. And that certainly helped us to the bottom line, which totaled an increase of about $137,000 over the beginning balance. Carl, if you'll scroll forward a couple of pages, we'll just go straight to the bottom line for Fund 1. You can see total revenue, including beginning balance, about $37,500,000. Keep going, Carl. Keep going. At least I know who's got the slides this week. Okay, right there. You went too far, I think. Go back up just a little. Right there. 16 million, or excuse me, 1,695,000 was what we ended the year. Now that's an unaudited AFR. It will change slightly, I expect. It always does. As a matter of fact, there have been receipts that have come in that probably we will assign to fiscal 15 minor, not significant numbers. Some minor expenditures. That number is going to change ever so slightly. Yesterday I made an adjustment to fiscal 15 because I had to estimate what the utility tax was for that last month of the year. I estimated $135,000 and ended up being a little over $130,000. So there are a lot of those minor things that will cause there to be slight adjustments in that unreserved fund balance. At this point, it's just under $1.7 million. And again, that's, you added $138,000 to your bottom line while adding buses back into your budget and absorbing that raise. So that's an extremely positive year in my view. Of course, looming this year that we're in now is the 2% raise. Folks will begin seeing that on their September 5th paychecks. They may not see as much as they expect to see because of KTRS matching increases. I've already had some phone calls about that. So folks may not see as much as they're hoping to see, but the cost is there for the district. So the 2% is going to be about, with the steps, going to be about $700,000 hit to the district. And now we hope we get some higher lag to offset some of that when folks retire and they're replaced by younger folks. Those folks make less money, so there will be some offset, and we never know what that's going to be until we get all those folks put in payroll at the very last minute before the September 5th payroll, which gives me just enough time to prepare that for you when we bring the working budget back to you in September. In September, we'll have a much better idea of what that raise impact is on the district. There's still some changes that occur throughout the year, but I'll have a really, really good idea when we come back in September with that raise, how that raise is impacting this year that we're in now, our salary cost. I'll be glad to try to answer any questions you might have. One thing I did not mention, we talked about it at length. Again, during the work session, a new item in your budget this year is the debt service for the performance contract. But we're offsetting, so you spent about $170,000 this year to make that debt payment. But we offset that with a substantial drop in utility cost and a substantial drop in maintenance expenses at some of these facilities that we had been spending a lot of money on every year, year after year after year. We didn't spend it this year. We shouldn't have to spend that for many, many years to come as a result of that project. So that project certainly contributed to that positive bottom line. Any questions that I might be able to answer for you?
Question? So then need a motion to approve this pre-audit version of the AFR for 2015.
Motion?
Motion by Ms. Berry.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Breeden. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Mr. Hawkinsmith, we appreciate what you do as far as the financial management here in the district. 5C, amendment to the interlocal cooperation agreement with CKDC and Campbell County School.
This is something that we've talked about at the working session, but we are a member of the Central Kentucky Education Co-op, and Campbell County Schools has come into that co-op in the last few months. And so as a part of the agreement that we have with CKEC, we have to, as a board, adjust the agreement that we have with the co-op in order to include Campbell County as a part of the list. So really just a technical issue for us, so I would ask that you make a motion to approve that.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Norman.
Second.
Second by Mr. Payton. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Welcome to CKEC Campbelltown. 6B, I'm sorry, agenda item 6, college and career readiness, 6A, which is the ARC 504 chairpersons for 2015-2016.
This is just a revision to add in the new assistant principals that we've hired since the July meeting, yes. So I'm just asking that you approve this list.
Do we have any spots that are empty that we're still waiting on?
We do not.
Okay. Fingers crossed there. So we need a motion to approve this chairperson's update.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Breeding.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pate. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 6B, which is the Kentucky Innovation Learning Network. Looks like Ms. Brown and Ms. Williams.
We have been invited to join the innovation group as a result of our non-traditional instructional day. So we would like to ask that you would approve us being a part of that network so that we can gain support from them and maybe lend them some of our knowledge as well.
If I remember right, during the work session, some of the discussion, this is an opportunity, as you just said, for us to get some support from other districts that will be part of this innovation learning network. There were also some things that we will be providing, that they're asking that we provide to this group?
Mm-hmm. And there's 3 areas, the non-traditional instructional days and the world readiness certification, and then the 21st century teaching and learning strategies. Those will be the 3 areas of focus for us.
Okay. But there are some things that staff in our district will also, I don't want to use the word required, but are required to provide back into this network as far as support for other districts?
We will exchange knowledge with them.
There are regular online meetings, Skype calls about every other week, I think, to have an opportunity for instance, for me to join in and talk with other superintendents that are part of the network, but also for our directors potentially to exchange ideas with those directors in other districts. So it is really a network for us to be able to get help when we need it, but also say, well, we've tried this and found it had these sets of results. So it's a good opportunity for us to exchange those kinds of ideas. And honestly, it's, I think, a nice thing for us to be invited. We did receive a letter, and part of it is, like we said, the non-traditional instructional days, but I think part of it is as well the fact that as a district we've progressed over the last several years to the point where we're ready to take on some of these things that perhaps a few years ago we would have been a little reluctant to stretch.
How many schools are involved?
I don't know how many schools are involved in Kentucky, but it's also connected to the Chief State Schools Office and their innovation network. So we'll really have access and opportunities to exchange ideas, not just with folks in Kentucky, but even all over the country.
So this is a district-to-district version of the professional learning communities that our staff and our administrators within our district participate in.
That is an outstanding analogy that I wish I had thought of.
You can use that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Do we have other questions?
And there's no cost associated with this, is there? Well, you can't beat that.
So with that, a motion motion?
I will make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Breeding to participate in the Kentucky Innovation Learning Network, and a second by Ms. Berry. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on into agenda item 7, Safe and Caring Environment. 7A, Annual Grant Update, and 7A1 is the United Way Grant Application.
All right, gentlemen, ladies, you have a decision paper in front of you all, and it's for it combines all the Frisky applications for the United Way grants that they're asking for. This is very similar to what you approved last year. I'm sure they renewed their applications. And so together, they're asking about $7,500. And it's divided up by each center according to what their particular needs are. And they pretty much write these themselves, and they're usually very targeted towards specific programs for each one of the centers. And so we're asking that you approve this application.
This is one that there is no matching funds, correct? It's just a request to the Tri-County United Way.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion. Motion by Mr. Pate. Second by Ms. Breeding. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And then it looks like 7A2 is the GRIT program grant, Girls Readiness in Technology.
It's actually an extremely interesting grant. This particular grant application was written by a high school junior at Thomas Nelson, and she participated in the STLP program as an individual contestant and won the right to basically compete for this, and wrote the application herself, and there you have it. And what it involves is she has designed it herself to serve middle school girls, and there's 15 of which that would participate in the program, and they're going to build like mini robots, or not only build the robots, but program them so that they'll move around, but they're spherical robots. Mr. Bradley might be able to explain it a little bit better than myself, but anyway, it sounds really interesting with a lot of hands-on learning going on and a lot of computer work, and it's designed to enhance their math and computer skills primarily. And it's $3,000, and there's no matching funds, and it provides some very useful activities in the afternoon.
If I remember correctly, the young lady you're referring to is one of our former Expect the Best student winners, and also a multiple year STLP, Student Technology Leadership Program winner at the state level.
Yes.
And pretty much just an all-around top-notch representative of not only Thomas Nelson, but the Nelson County schools in general.
Exactly. Her name is Nada Casilla, and she, her mom is an employee of the district, and just a very fine.
And as were both of her older brothers as well.
Yes.
But this also will give them a great opportunity, these grades 6 through 8 young ladies, having that opportunity to be exposed to other potential career fields, and also even compete at the, I would assume, the state STLP conference as well, because this falls right in line with the types of competitions that are at that state levels.
Presumably. I hadn't really thought about that, but you're exactly right.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Norman. Second. Second by Mr. Pate. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Appreciate it, Mr. Deagle.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Moving on to item 8, student and stakeholder engagement, 8A, which is guest comments. Any person wishing to address the board may do so by following these rules. Individuals representing themselves are limited to 3 minutes. Individuals representing a group are limited to 5 minutes. Please step up to the microphone, state your name and address, and if you represent a group, state the name of the group you are representing. Okay. So then we would be looking at a motion to adjourn the regular session. Motion by Mr. Page.
Second.
Second by Mr. Norman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, and I've been told there is no need for an executive session.